All right, what's up, YouTube Money Gang? Belton here. Going to talk to you guys today about what I've been up to this league and just sort of a rough overview, as well as probably one of the most expensive characters I've ever put together. The title is not hyperbolic. In fact, it's probably a bit of an understatement. We have put together an over 50 mirror build so far. All of it has been self-crafted, and every single one of the mirror pieces I'm going to get to have been mirrored at least twice. I think in total, probably around somewhere between 20 to 30 copies of the items I'm about to show you have been made. And I'll talk briefly about what each one of those took, as well. We'll go over some other pieces of gear in case you're curious about that. This isn't a build guide by any means, so there's lots of that content out there. Tornado Shot as an archetype is something that's been around forever, as long as I've played the game at least, which is coming up on 10 years now, actually, in March. So what we're going to talk about today are the crafts themselves and the currency that we've made through that process, as well as a quick little valuation on some of those things. So let's get to it right away, and I'm sure most of you guys just want to see the items, so let's get to that first. So here we have this is actually the #1 elemental bow in the entire game, not just Sanctum League. It is 1631 elemental VPS with +3 arrow and double damage. You see here, looking at the tiers, we do have an essence tier, fire damage, but aside from that, it is pure T1s, with the exception, of course, of the crafted attack speed. This has been mirrored about 10 times, and this is obviously the bread and butter in terms of incoming currency with respect to mirror fees. This was actually our second mirror craft, though. So some of you might remember this from Reddit. It was posted there. This was actually our first one, though, and this was actually my most popular Reddit post ever. This was made a couple days into the league, actually, and this was really before synthesis beasts were well understood. And so, when I saw this base appear, I kind of freaked out a little bit. Crafted at 61, as you can see. Not only that, but it is perfectly divine. And this is actually the best attack base Omni belt in the entire game. Subsequently, someone did actually make a better base that is 18, 18, 18, but they did craft it for ward loot, so this still does hold that place. But this was our first mirror craft in the league. This was our second, and our third coming out of this one. This is one of my favorite ones, actually. I think it's very cool. I love synthesis rings as an avid discharge player. I've got a lot of experience with them. This was one that I made from scratch, basically, though. So you can see here we've got T1 crit multi, +1 power charge, onslaught on hit, and we've got T1 crit multi, T1 intelligence, T1 frenzy with frenzy on kill, T1 elemental damage with attack skills, the T1 crafted reduced lightning, non-channeling skills minus mana cost, and unfortunately this actually does have one T2, which is the 69 life. However, T1 elemental damage with attack skills is such a rare mod that I found it to be acceptable in this situation to just stop with the T2 life there. So that was our second craft. Third craft. Our fourth one, pretty straightforward but exceptionally good. This has actually been mirrored, I think, second or third most of all these items several times. And we got an Omni ring here. So we got 7% dex, 7% int, and 8% max life. That is tier 1 life. And then we've got the triple tier 1 suffixes, T0 actually with the essence, T1 life, the Ashling, or not the Ashling, the June mod, and the minus man. Nothing too confusing there. This is pretty much exactly how every Omni ring is going to be crafted. And this was our last one. And this one I spent a ton of money rolling, but I think it's super, super cool. We got +1 arrow, cold damage for frenzy, and crit multi as the implicits on this. When you talk about explicits on a mirror quiver, they're pretty much the exact same across the board. Because of the strength of fizz conversion, that is generally, even though I am playing a Trinity-based tri-elemental one, I put the fizz damage to attacks on there because I still actually do have 100% conversion, so it's not completely terrible. But if you're looking to, craft towards an audience, it's a much bigger and higher end market. So that was why we put the fizz damage there. But if you go and take a look at any of the mirror quivers that are available, they'll pretty much have these exact same mods in them. The one exception being the attack speed. It will sometimes be changed. The crafted attack speed will be changed for frenzy on hit with crit chance. But yeah, each one of these gained in cost as I crafted them progressively, and this is largely due to the nature of the price for the Synthesis Beast reroll, which is the Vivid Vultures, as well as the Kraychik Chimerals. In terms of talking about this 50 plus mirror build, again, major undersell in terms of that. As a matter of fact, actually, these alone cost 5,000 Vivid Vultures. If you're to look at Vivid Vultures right now, it would cost you 10,000 Divines just for the Vivid Vultures, which at current prices is about 35 mirrors. And that's not to mention, 3,000 Kraychik Chimerals. That's like another 15 or 20 mirrors. Then you've got the crafts themselves, the bases, all that stuff. So if you're actually talking sale price on a bunch of these, it could be upwards of 100 mirrors in terms of value. But I'll go over quickly what it took to craft each one of these, as well as a very brief step-by-step in terms of crafting those items. If you're unfamiliar with the channel or myself, I do actually have a website called thehideouthandbook.com. I've got that linked here, and I'll link that below in the details. It's basically my thoughts on currency acquisition in PoE, some advice, techniques, and things like that. And then I've got a blog section on how it was made, where I talk about different strategies to generate currency, as well as step-by-step guides for mirror crafting items, as well as profit crafting. With respect to these items, though, if you do want to see them, they each have their own post here: mirror craft, blah blah blah. And these will actually have like literal step-by-step guides. So I'll do a brief overview, but we won't go into extreme detail. As well, if you want to know how many beasts, vultures, imprints, essences, all that stuff, I did make a Reddit post where I put all 5 of these in there. I made kind of a précis of it here, but I will also link this as well in case you want to see the specifics. Going over it though, we're just going to go a little brief overview. So to give some justification to the title of these, not stream, sorry, I'm new to making videos, to the title of the video, which is the 50 plus mirror tornado shot build. Before I go into the specifics of each of these mirror items, I can go over what else we have gear wise. And despite the belt, I do also have a Mage Blood, just for quality of life. It is actually a perfectly rolled one too, both the dexterity and the fire, which is great for Omni. These boots, if I fixed up the implicits and I changed the enchant, I could actually, in Divine this, I could potentially put these up for mirror service. I'm of the personal belief that Eldritch mods and Eldritch items in general are too easy to craft because of the Eldritch currency. That it doesn't really ever justify mirroring one, because you can just make one for cheap, especially because you can also combine them with fractures. But with this one here, we've got the T1 Chaos Res, T1 Suppression Fractured, the Abyssal Socket, Abyssal Jewel, T1 Life, T1 Onslaught Move Speed, and I put Can't Be Frozen. We've got Omni, of course. I should probably have a double corrupted one. I don't, unfortunately. Black Sun Crest, 15%, 15%, 15% with +1 arrow. We've got a chest that I self-crafted as well. This is more just a functional one. It's actually only got 5 mods on it, so you can tell it's not completed. But it's got the elevated attack crit, it's 2%. There's no reason to elevate power charge on crit. I mean, it does give a small boost, but really I just wanted a source of power charge generation, as well as do it with T1 Chaos Res there, T1 Life, and then I've got just a crafted Elemental and Stun Avoidance. What we would do here to finish this is do a Wild Bristle Matron, which would in effect put on suffixes Can't Be Changed. Hopefully it doesn't remove the life. We pick a June mod, and then we would bench the 6th modifier there. So that's actually a rather easy one to fix. My gloves by far are my worst item. I just haven't had the time really to craft these yet. It took me about 200 hours of playtime to craft these items here, largely due paying for and taking the time to purchase beasts and other crafting items, as well as rolling the Vivid Vultures. That was the bulk of the time. But this one does have great implicits. Explicit wise though, nothing to write home about. After that, just your standard Mage Blood Flask. Oriath's End I occasionally dabble with. Storm Shroud occasionally dabble with. A Watcher's Eye, because we are using, again, the mirror bow here, that does not have, it's only got base crit of 5, and we don't actually have crit chance rolled onto there. You have 2 options, which is either basically to use Brittle or to use Hatred Watchers. So I went with the latter. You can see I have a perfectly rolled one here, 1.8%, as well as Armor with Determination and minus mana cost. Here I have Devastator, Feed, and Martial. So that gives us Explodey, Devastator. A lot of people will use Fuel the Fury here, along with Feed and Martial. I prefer Devastator. Fuel is a mana leech one, but I have a 0 mana cost. I actually have a 1 mana cost, so Inspiration works. But Devastator gives you explode and attack damage. I just think it's in general better as long as you, again, can sort out your mana issues. For mapping, I do put an Inspired Learning. You can see we've got the Corrupted Blood on there. The Relic Bread of Hope, massive, just pick up some extra points. The Lethal Pride here, we have, I think this one gives 10% double damage, Intimidate on hit, and 30% strength. You can see we get a lot of strength. Percent strength ones, percent strength, percent strength, strength. It's a very, very nice one on Lethal Pride there. Coming down here, we've got a Unnatural Instinct, double corrupted with damage and cold pen. Here we've got our Forbidden Flesh and Flame with focal point and a 35% fractured damage or bow 12 passive cluster. And this is actually 4T1 as well. You can see I haven't divined it perfectly, but we do have T1 life, T1 strength, T1 int. So that means 1 point. Again, if it were divined perfectly, 1 point would give us 20 Omni, 16% damage, and 13 flat life. So those are pretty nuts. But yeah, that's the rest of the gear, just in case anyone was curious. Now, obviously, there's gems and stuff too. They're not really cheap with this build. You know, Awakened GMP, Awakened EWAD, Anomalous Tornado Shot, Awakened Enhance and Light, and all that kind of stuff. Probably, you know, a couple hundred divines of gems as well. But I'm sure most of you aren't really interested in that. So let's go over what most of these cost to craft, as well as a little brief step-by-step. So for this one, I paid 2 mirrors for the base. After that, I just used some essences to get T1 Strength and Int, Reforged Chaos with a meta mod until we got the T1 Chaos Reds. At that stage, you divine it, so it's perfect. From there, what we were doing was double exalting, hoping to either hit T1 life or T1 elemental damage with attack skills. If you hit one or the other, you would then augment to put the other one on there. And eventually, you would obviously get 2 T1s, divine that, and then you put on the crafted bench there. This cost, I think at the time, roughly 6 mirrors to make. But keep in mind, this was like 3 days of the league. So mirrors at the time were only like, you know, 160 divines, 150 divines. So this actually only cost about 900 divines to make. If I were to sell this now, the base probably be, you know, somewhere between 5 to 8 mirrors. All right, now the bow. This is obviously the big daddy when it comes to value. This is easily worth, I would say, at a baseline, 30 to 50 mirrors. In fact, if you were actually just trying to craft this yourself, you're welcome to go look on Path of Exile here. If you try to roll the 3-2-1 prefixes by themselves, I think it's something like 130,000 essences on average. Now obviously that's not really practical. So from there, what you're actually going to end up doing is you're going to use an essence, so you get a T0 and a T1, a null if you need to open up your third prefix, and then augment. That augment to get a third T1 is a 1 in 91, if I remember correctly. So you're already talking about a couple mirrors there. And this is not even talking about the implicits. I actually paid 3 mirrors for this base. However, it would cost, I think he said something of it was like 2,500 Vivid Vultures that it cost to make this. And, you know, an appropriate amount of chimerals to match that. This was like day 6 of the league or something. I started this. At that point, the beasts were like, you know, 30 chaos each. So if you were to look at that in today's values, you're talking way more. So once we got the implicits, the prefix is done. We then had to go for +2 arrow. So you really have 2 options here. Either you can double exalt and scour, wipe them until you just get it, or you can augment attack. I went for the latter for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's less attempts. Number 2, when you're augmenting attack, you're typically going to have an attack modifier on there pre-existing, which lowers the overall value. If you're augmenting it just period, like if it just has prefixes can't be changed, and you're doing, sorry, when I say augment, by the way, I mean add an attack modifier, remove an attack modifier. I realize the harvest has changed. If I ever say the word wed, I mean EWAD, which is, it used to be called weapon elemental damage. Now it's elemental, or is it EDWA? Sorry, elemental damage with attacks. Just some of the vernacular might be a little bit off, but hopefully what I'm trying to get across is clear. So with respect to the getting the +2 arrows, if memory serves, it was 1 in 296 augments. That alone is multiple mirrors. But again, if you're doing augment attack, you can have a second attack modifier on there. If it's something like accuracy or dexterity or crit that have very high weightings, you can, you know, it goes from like a 1 in 200 or 1 in 315 to like a 1 in 250, which is obviously substantial. After you hit the +2 arrow, there's a good likelihood that you're going to have a second modifier on there. A lot of the time that modifier will be right here. That second modifier will be an attack skill or probably one that you're not going to want to have on there. In our case, I think it was 18% crit chance, local crit chance. Sorry about the break here, guys. Yeah, so after you get the +2 arrow, again, this is going to cost you multiple mirrors. You then have to annul off that second mod, which is obviously takes a great deal of has-balls, as they would say in Twitch chat. We were very lucky, and we did get that annul. It's a 50-50. But we removed the crit. At that point, you now have an isolated +2 arrow. What you then do is can have multiple crafted mods. Prefixes can't be changed, and then you go to an ashling. You do the multi-mod, of course, so that you just have less of a chance of removing the +2 arrow. So 66% chance for success there. And then you also, I think it's about a 50% chance to either unveil. The 3 acceptable unveils would be crit, attack speed, or double damage. Crit's not optimal. Attack speed or double damage would be the best ones. We got the double damage, thankfully, and yeah, then we just benched on the attack speed. That bow on average would just on at a cost accounting basis at the time would have cost on average around 30 mirrors. That number is going to go way up. 30 mirrors is not including the implicits. The 30 mirrors is not including the implicits, so if you were to, you know, relate that to today's prices, it would be probably somewhere in the 50 to 75 mirror range to replicate. So again, the value I've assigned to that bow is rather low for what it is. But I was incredibly happy to have hit that, and you're not even going to believe what it actually cost me. In total, I spent 1,160 divines, I think, which at the time I think it was about 8 mirrors, something like that. So it's not like it's cheap, but you know, in the values of right now, you know, midway through league, it's about 3.5 mirrors, 4 mirrors, and again, it's worth, you know, 30 to 50, let's say, for the base bow itself. Not to mention, it has generated about 1,250, 1,300 divines in mirror fees. It's been mirrored about close to a dozen times, I think. So it's actually already paid for itself. The original is obviously what is most valuable. So this is definitely the big win in the league. Spent a lot of time talking about that, but definitely proud of this one. And it is, again, the best bow, not only in the Sanctum League, but as well as Standard. I know some people are going to comment spine bases are better because of crit. I have 100% crit chance without any crit on here, nor do I have to use Brittle or Secrets of Suffering. So I kindly dismiss that argument that's necessary. But again, you're going to have a pretty high gear ceiling to achieve that. Both are acceptable, but in terms of elemental damage, EDPS and +3s, this is the best. All right, next one. The ring here. So I bought the power charge on a triple implicit synthesis. That cost, I think 140 divines at the time. And from there, it was just imprint, reroll. I hit onslaught after about 200 beasts. Stop there. And then from that point, I wanted to make sure we had one that could not be beat, right? And that's really important with these a lot of the time. If you have a base that has a tier 2 modifier, so like let's say this had 6% life instead of 8% life, that means somebody could get the double attribute, and if somebody else rolled that 8% instead of the 6, it would completely make my item obsolete. Zero sum game with these mirror items, right? If you have the exact, especially something like a ring like this where, you know, it's a universal mod desire, everyone's going to want to have the triple attributes, life, whatever. They're pretty much completely universal in terms of the explicit mods. So if you don't defensively craft, and by defensively craft I mean choose modifiers that are defensively craft, choose modifiers that cannot be beat. And obviously you want them to be good as well, you know, like life gained on kill tier 1 isn't really cornering any market there for your sake. I'm gonna put on D&D after this. Sorry for all these trades here. Who the fuck is this guy? Oh, where did he come from? I'm really sorry, guys. Yeah, alright. D&D's going on. Sorry, lads. Okay, won't have to deal with that again. Yes, so because of that, and because of that mentality, I adapted, which was 100% in hindsight the right thing to do, but at the time, it did add an exorbitant amount of cost. Rolling the third modifier on these synthesis bases is going to like triple the cost that you would have spent to get the first two. But it does make it so, you know, if you do get a good one, you've pretty much locked in that base type, and it means that if somebody else is now rolling, so in this case, my third modifier was tier 1 crit multi. Super happy with that. Obviously, synergizes fantastically with power charges. So that was great. But that does mean that, you know, if somebody else had an onslaught power charge ring and they hit that T1 multi, they're probably not going to bother stopping, because like, why would they? You know, that base already exists. So the earlier you can get to that, the better. We did spend a lot of money though at the time rolling that third that third mod. This is the ring that could definitely have the most variance in terms of the explicit modifiers too. It wasn't crafted with anything specifically in mind. I think initially I was going to try and make it like a Forbidden Right cast on crit. Forbidden Right, which uses the I'm forgetting the name of it, but the thing that makes your power charges also get a 3% more multiplier, and you can no longer generate frenzy charges. However, minimum frenzy still gives you the benefits of the more multiplier and the attack and cast speed. So I was going to do that along with the T1 int, which obviously synergizes with an energy shield build. T1 crit multi, power charge, blah, blah, blah. Perfect for that. However, I then hit T1 elemental damage with attack field, which is just such a rare mod. I decided to make it a life-based ring. Initially, it was going to be an ES-based ring with that. That's why there's sort of confusing mods on here. But that's been the mirror the least of any of the items. But the base is really what's important here, and this is a triple tier 1 base. So really happy with that. I could probably sell the base on this. Frankly, if somebody bought this, it wouldn't really be for the explicit mods. Unless I fixed up those prefixes. The base here is probably worth 8 to 10 mirrors by itself, though. So again, 5 to 8 mirrors, 30 to 50 mirrors, let's say 6 to 8 mirrors here. This one here, it's pretty simple. It looks simple, and it was actually probably the easiest one to craft. The entire thing on this actually took me about 2 hours. I bought the Dex Int with the 3 implicit for 150 divines. That got majorly underpriced that, and it had some shitty third implicit. After about 50 rerolls, I hit T1 life. At the time, there was only one other ring that had the double implicit. If you go look at these Omni rings now, there's like 20 different variations of them. But again, I was doing this quite early, so I put T1 life. T1 life is actually really good. I know a lot of people like to you know, ninja flex their DPS with these Omni builds. So people just want DPS. But you know, the Calandra's Touch is also very common in this league, so this was a consideration on my end as well. Even though Onslaught is really good on this, Onslaught on hit cannot be used really with Calandra's Touch because it doesn't have any additional benefit, right? Same with Intimidate on hit and a variety of, you know, the curses and some other things as well. Especially a ring like, if you're going to have an Omni ring, you want the exact same stats on both of them. You know, a 2-stone like this, well, it's not really 2-stone, but a ring like this, you're probably maybe going to want some variance in between it. Maybe you do different res combos or chaos res, attack speed, whatever it is. But an Omni ring, you're going to have the same mods every time. So being able to have one where I could use it with a Calandra's Touch was really good too. So that's why I stopped at the T1 life, as well as these builds. Again, it doesn't necessarily shine on the defensive side, and getting an extra 16% life. You know, I know it's 8%, but in most cases, people are just going to use a Calandra's Touch with these. 16% life is definitely more beneficial for most builds than, you know, 15 multi, or, you know, I think some of them have 20 elemental damage with attack skills or whatever. You know, one of them is going to look nice on PoE Ninja for sure, but the 8% life is actually really quite strong. Explicit wise, it was really easy to roll this. You just use the essence until you get the double tier 1 or T0 and tier 1, and then Exalt. and a null until you get the third one. And you can also obviously hit triple tier 1, or sorry, tier 0, tier 1, tier 1 just by the essence, but it's quite unlikely that that's going to happen. It would take thousands and thousands of essences. After that, you just get on the tier 1 life by doing Wild Bristle Matron and Augment Life. And then you do prefix suffixes can be changed again with the Bristle Matron. Ashling, get that Ashling mod on there. You can guarantee that mod by blocking mana, and because the life is blocked and mana is blocked, the only options are going to be the tri-elemental ones, so you can choose which ones you want. And then you just bench on your minus mana there, or damage if you wanted that. So that's a really easy ring to craft. Again, the entire process of crafting this one only took 2 hours. This one took me about 2 days, 26 hours. This one took about 12 hours. This took about 8 hours. Next one here, we got the Rift Rod. This one I think is one of the cooler ones. You know, I put a lot of time in this one. This one took me probably 30 hours. This took 1,100 Vivid Vultures, and it cost over, I think, like 10 mirrors at the time, really, to craft. And that was all on the implicits. All I got here was I bought a +1 arrow base, and then I just dumped a shit ton of time, vultures, beasts, whatever, into this. I cannot tell you how many inventories of rare beasts I had to use. Eventually, we hit the cold damage for Frenzy. At that point, we were going for either T1 crit multi, which is 27 to 30, T2 crit multi, 24 to 26, T3 crit multi, 21 to 23, physical conversion, a percent dex or int, and I think those were the only ones that were acceptable at the time. I might be blanking on one, so off the top of my head, I apologize if not, but it was a very small mod pool. Eventually we got this one. I would have liked it where it's tier 2 or tier 1 multi, but in the 1,100 vultures I rolled, we only got multi 3 times, period. And the 2 of the other times were a lower tier, so I was completely fine with this. And also at the time, there was the highest crit multi on any quiver that existed was 23. Somebody has since rolled one with 26. However, that person decided to stop crafting with, instead of cold damage for Frenzy, he has 16% cold damage, which I realize is T1 cold damage for a synthesis. However, stupidly, he didn't maybe take the time to realize that elemental damage with attack skills and elemental damage, I believe, both go to 25%, so cold damage is a garbage third implicit. And so he took what could have been the best quiver in the league and he poached it because he crafted the explicits. So this is still confidently probably the best quiver in the league. It is not the best quiver in the game, because on standard there are ones that have legacy multi as well as some other things. This is 100% best bow. This is the best attack based omni. This is the best quiver in the league. Again, there's some variance there because of, you know, what you want. Obviously the explicits are all 6T1. 5T1 with the crafted mod. And it, you know, depending on what you need, what build you're playing, there's going to be things that are going to be higher DPS, whatever. But for its niche, this is definitely one that is very, very good. As well, cold damage for Frenzy is something that can scale, right? So the better gear you have, you know, if there's one Omni ring that has Dex, Int, and a +1 Frenzy charge. So if you were using that, you're likely going to have Kilometer's Touch. So you get 2 Frenzy charges there, 3 base. You know, you can take 2 on the tree really without giving up anything. So, you know, there's 7 charges right there. And so you're talking about some good scaling, and that obviously gets better with gear. This ring is really one of a kind. So unique that it's hard to compare them one-to-one to the others. The Omni ring, this is the best one for a life base. There are so many different Omni ring variants, and the explicits are all the exact same. I can't say whether definitively or not it's the best. I do actually think the +1 Frenzy one is 100% better than the life, though. So I'm not going to claim this is the best Omni ring. But if you do need defensive stats, this is probably the best one. Yeah, best in game, hands down. Best attack based in game, depending on your build, but best for what it is. Too unique to say. Solidly number 2, and situationally number 1. So these are all really good mirror crafts. And you know, I had huge focus on this early because I knew that the beasts were going to go up in price. I knew the crafting materials would go up in price, and I knew that the access to those materials would be much more limited. You know, you had thousands of these available, the beasts, for like 30-40 chaos. It was very easy to buy them in bulk. Nobody was bothering to do it, right? Once people catch on, not only does the price go up 5 times as much, but you'll be lucky if you can buy them 5 at a time, right? So the time constraints are much worse too. As well, it's kind of a zero-sum game when you're crafting mirror items. If someone else makes it, you don't, right? Like, nobody's going to bother really making an elemental bow once this exists. the same way that somebody made that 6T1 Fizzbow. Why bother putting all the resources that it takes to craft one once it already exists, right? And that's probably the reason why the person decided to make a word loop belt with his Omni 18-18-18 base, right? So yeah, there's the story, guys, in brief of how I crafted each one of these, and a rough valuation for each one. Oh, sorry, the quiver. I got offered 8 mirrors just for the implicits on this. I would say the quiver itself, 10 to 12 mirrors I can sell that for. So to recap, I would say that this one is around, let's say 6 to 9, 5 to 8, or 6 to 8, 5 to 7, 5 to 8, 30 to 50, and somewhere around 10 to 12 mirrors for each one of those. We went over the other items that I had as well. You know, we've got, I think 4 mirrors in cache I've made the past couple days. Well on our way to a 5th one today. Got this little +1 Squire here. +1 Squire here. And some other cool little things as well. I forgot to mention as well, there's another project I was working on. If you want to check out my website I was talking about earlier, I do go over some of this stuff here. The post is called how to get a drop only modifiers with triple synthesis. You can see here on this chest I've got 15% power charge on crit, 1% attack base crit. This currently has 17% chance to defend with 200% armor. What I'm aiming for here with my third implicit is 10% frenzy charge on hit. It took me 1,206 vultures to get the attack crit to show up there. It cost me over 10 mirrors to do so. This chest has cost me, I think, 2,700 divines now. And it also has +1 curse, which is actually an underground mod. So what would be cool with this, when we do get it to its final state, again, it'll have base crit, power charge on crit, frenzy charge on hit, +1 curse. And that's, you know, 3 different influences. Not to mention, it can also then have 7% additional fizz reduction, 35% chaos res, 19% suppression, 119 life, 35% stun and ailment avoidance, plus all that stuff. It would be a pretty nuts chest. That's more of a passion project, though. I don't really think that one's going to return anything. And then, you know, kind of in the same spirit, we got a global defenses plus attack speed with Dex. I haven't rolled the implicits on this one yet, but we could do something similar with that. These 2 chests have cost me about 3,000 divines, and the cost of beasts has gotten so prohibitively expensive that it's kind of tough to do. Other projects I've got on the go here, I've got Frostbite on hit. I'm thinking about doing triple synth there. I've got this incredibly good, this Watcher's Eye, this Synth Jewel, Abyss Jewel, gives me 10% more damage on my tooltip, not on PoE, on tooltip when I use it. It's pretty nuts. So I might do some cool stuff with that. You see I've got some cool triple synths here, as well as I've got a Dex stacker, and this is Dex strength stacking. This one here got cold damage, penetration, and that's a little Dex stacking foil here we got. I got double attributes. This is actually the only pair of double attribute scaling boots in the game. We've got, and this was a weapon I might make into a discharge weapon. If you familiar, a couple leagues ago, I made invented actually the build 100% chance for discharge. You can not consume charges build, and it has to use a weapon like this. So might make something with that. We definitely, yeah, I've got a lot of projects on the go all the time, pretty much. So if you're into that crafting stuff, I've been doing this for 10 years. I do know what I'm doing, and you know, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, man. But yeah, I love playing the game, and you know, with the amount of time and years I've spent in this, you really have to motivate yourself with concrete goals, I feel. So again, the one that I'm working on right now is to make a mirror a day. I'll probably stop tomorrow after I get 5 mirrors. I think I kind of proved the point of that, and we'll go on and start crafting something neat. But anyways, yeah, there was a brief. Now I say brief, but it's about 35 minutes now looking at the thing. But that is my Tornado Shot Omni character. There's the valuation I gave. The cool thing is that as the price of beasts go up, the value of these items will go up. I could leave the league right now, come back on the last day, and I'd probably have 100 mirror build. So, you know, while some of you might think the title is clickbaity, and to be honest, if I'm being candid, it is a little bit. I do want to grab your attention, but I do think I have something to say. I've recently I left my stream on Twitch that I've been working on for 7 years now. I left that on while I went to Christmas dinner. My PoE client crashed, and my screen capture defaulted to Discord. somebody thought it would be funny to start spamming pornographic photos, or I don't know if it was videos or photos, which my stream was then capturing. I didn't see this again because it was Christmas dinner with my family. I don't live with them, obviously. So when I came back, that same person had then reported me to Twitch for explicit images, and I was perma-banned. So that's why I'm making this transition over to videos on YouTube here. I know I'm not very good at them. I don't know how to edit and stuff, so bear with me through these processes. I will get better with this over time. I don't really have a natural affinity for, anything tech related. As a fucking football player in high school and was in the military, worked in finance and club promoting, when I tour with DJs. I've had a pretty interesting life, but tech was never really anything that was in there. I love video games though, and I love the economic side especially. PoE's a game I've been playing since March of 2013, and I make 50 plus mirrors pretty much every single league. And it's I normally would, prior to losing my Twitch channel, I would stream all of my gameplay. So now that I'm unable to do that, I will do some live streams on YouTube here, but I'll try to put together some videos for you guys. And if you have any questions or content you want to see, be sure to check out my website as well. I have a Discord. It's very, very active. There are over 2,000 people in it now. I'll put a link below for that. But you can see there's, guide channels, strategies for profit, endgame items, crafting guides, a bunch of different things you can get in here. There's a lot, aside from myself, there's a lot of other people that contribute that are well worth taking a listen to. So I'll link both the website, the Discord below. And if you guys have any questions about any of this, or if you want to argue with me about it, if you think I'm bullshitting about any of these valuations, or you think I did something wrong, feel free to speak your mind. I can come across as abrasive sometimes because I'm outspoken, and but at the same time, I'll always allow someone to do the same. So I'm not infallible, no human is, but I do think that I'm rather justified in the numbers I threw out there. Oh, by the way, sorry, one last little cool upgrade I got here. Check this out, boys. 80% reservation Black Sun Crest, which comes from, if you can see here, I did a shit ton of ultimatums. And that's coming from using a Vol Orb on a Glimpse of Chaos. So I just need to get the TS enchant on there. But it's remarkable how good that, when you, if I had a 38, so right, I think it's 38% I have on these. 33%. I have 33% reservation with Hatred. If I put it on this helmet, it goes down to, I think, 21% on a 50% aura. So it's pretty insane. Definitely still some upgrades to work on. I do spend a lot of my time crafting. I don't actually boss kill and stuff that often, but the itemization part of PoE is what's exciting to me. So stay tuned. If you guys have any content you want to see, I'm going to keep releasing a bunch of guides and strategies. I know I'm doing this mirror a day challenge. The video I posted earlier kind of blew up in terms of viewership. I must have caught something on the algorithm accidentally. But I do know that I have a newer audience here with a bunch of you. So that's why I'm kind of giving this explanation of who I am and what I'm about. Yeah, I want to be clear though, I did not make a mirror a day by just doing gems and stuff like that. There's a variety of things. If you check out my website, Discord, and some of my videos here, you get a good idea of what that is. You can also check out my Reddit as well. I've been active, I've been, oh wow, slurring my words here. I've posted actively on Reddit guides and things like that for a very long time. In fact, if you look, you'll probably find some manifestos and economic guides I've written, I think as early as 2014. So a lot of content out there, but not to pat myself on the back, but I do know my stuff. So if you got a question, guys, or something you want to see, let me know. I'd be happy to help. I played the game far too long to really struggle with anything that I need personal goal wise. So I do get a great deal of enjoyment in building a community and helping other people out with a part of the game that I think is sort of falsely villainized and something I'm definitely passionate about. So thank you for all of you who stayed tuned, and I know I probably lost most of your interest by now, but looking forward to making videos with you guys and starting out this whole YouTube thing. So see you guys soon. Cheers. Hope you have happy hunting.